I'd like to welcome to the show Rob Hussey of the band Cyanide, man. What's going on, Rob? Big Kiss fan, I see.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a tough week, right, for us Kiss fans.
Uh, I hear you, man. It's
Yeah.
just been, losing Ace was that hit hard. Losing Ozzy hit hard. I'm
Oh
about
God.
over 2025, man.
you know, it was like, and then Eddie back in 2020, it's like three of the biggest figures of my musical upbringing,
Right.
it's I had posted about this back in 2018, how we should all just stop going online and tearing these guys down. And, why don't we appreciate them while we still have them? Because in the next 10 years, we might lose a whole ton of them, And so now it's kind of starting to happen. And I'm like, I hate that I was right about that.
Yeah, I hear you. So tell us about, give us a little history about Rob Hussey, man. I mean, you're out in Vegas. You play
Yeah.
in quite a few cover bands. You do it
Yeah.
Maiden, Motley Crue, and I think there's another one out there somewhere.
Poison.
Poison. So give us a little history about you, man.
Well, I was bitten by the kiss bug at the age of 6, and I bugged my parents and my Aunt Dee, who finally got me a drum set when I was about 7. And I played drums, pretty much exclusively from that time until basically until I turned 40. Um,
Right.
was when I decided if I was ever going to try this lead vocalist thing, it better be now or else I'm never going to do it. And in all those years, I was always the drummer in all the bands I was in. And but I always wanted to be the singer, and I just really just didn't have the balls to do it, I guess.
Right.
And one day I did, and so glad I took that chance, because I've had the most fun playing music since the day I decided to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you have the band Cyanide, which, from what I'm understanding, was your mastermind
Yeah.
putting this together, and you kept it. What I like about the new album, 21 Gun Salute, is you kept it old school rock metal, the way it should be done. There's no AI. There's no, it's just old school in your face rock.
Not even a little bit of AI. There's none of
Right.
it.
So let's talk about 21 Gun Salute, man. Your first single was Rock and Roll Army. Am I correct on that?
No. We put out 21 Gun
Okay.
Salute as our single back in April.
Oh,
I,
okay.
I think April is when the single hit. Maybe it was May. May is when the CD went on sale at Kibble Records.
Right.
Uh, and then, we wanted to wait for the streaming release and give the CD a little bit of time to breathe. And that's why the album only just now came out on streaming sites last Friday, which, I was so looking forward to that day for so long. And then the day before, like, finding out about Ace just kind of, was like, I don't even want to put this record out now. Like, I just want to go listen to Ace and have some beers and, drown
Right.
my sorrows. And it was a tough weekend because I was supposed to do a whole lot of stuff, to
Right.
promote the record. But instead, I just kind of thought, I'm just going to back off from this for the weekend and come back Monday and see how we all
Yeah.
feel.
Ace hit pretty hard because I think it was so sudden,
Mm-hmm.
you know, 'cause from what I understand, he had fallen in a studio or something. But
I read a something Eddie Trunk posted, I think yesterday. Maybe it was the day before, but he apparently said he fell twice. He fell a second time in
right.
his home, um, and I'm pretty sure it said down the stairs or something. Just
Oh, wow.
just terrible. Like, man, Kiss Kiss bit me when I was age 6, and like Ace was my favorite dude.
Oh,
Even
yeah.
even though I wanted to play drums as a child, I still gravitated towards Ace. you know, and
Right.
I had no talent for guitar at that time in my life, but I just loved Ace, you know.
Right.
I just thought he was one of the coolest rock stars that ever came along, and yeah, he's gonna be missed for a long forever. He's gonna be missed forever.
Right. Well, his legacy will live on. I mean, it's without a doubt. You know.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, it's his legacy's already been living on in my world, you know,
Right.
since that, you know, since I was a kid. So, you know, I never deviated from listening to this music, and that, like you touched on the fact that this record is old school, and that was by intention. Is, you know, if you see behind me,
Right.
this is my studio, and so when I decided that I was actually going to make this record, because there was a time where I really didn't think I was going to, you know, I was
Right.
going through a lot, and you know, I redid my studio to make it look like my bedroom when I was 15 years old, because I want my record.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, I want my record to sound like a record I would, when I was 15. If I heard it, I'd just immediately go jump on my bike and ride to the record store
Right.
and buy that album, you know. And so I wanted to make a record like that that made me feel like that. And the only way to do that is to get in that frame of mind, which when I walk into this room, that is the frame of mind I'm instantly in. I'm instantly a 15-year-old kid again. I just
Right.
want to make music for fun, music that I love, and I think it comes through.
Right. So you have a couple ballad songs on the new album, 21 Gun Salute. One called "Never Let Me Go,"
Mm,
which is a ballad song, and
yeah,
which is a very cool tune, by the way.
thank,
I love your vocals on it, man. Your vocals are just, it's so smooth. It's 80s rock. I mean, it's just,
thank,
there's
thank you.
pretty awesome.
I love it when somebody really gets it. You know, the instant they hear it and they're like, "I know that. I know that sound. It's
Right.
already familiar." You know, because that's how I felt when I was writing it. Like I'm writing these songs, and I'm just like, it's almost like I already knew the songs. You know, it was so weird.
Right.
How they just came out. It was like I was outside of my body, and these songs just came into existence.
Right.
And yeah, good
And,
times.
and another song that you have on here on this album that I thought was pretty awesome because it's rare. I shouldn't say it's a rare song, but it's rare that somebody covers it. And that's
Yeah.
Climax Blues Band, "I Love You." And as soon as I immediately gravitated to it when I saw the list on songs on the album. I'm like, what? I'm like, there ain't no way. And I clicked it on, and I'm like, wow, man. I think you did an incredible job on it. I mean, what was the thing with covering Climax Blues Band? I mean, that's AM gold.
Right. I mean, I loved that song when I was a kid. I had forgotten about it. And when I was working on Never Let Me Go, I was really having trouble coming up with a melody for it. And I had the drums, guitars, bass done for several months and still nothing. And then when an idea finally came and I started running with it, I realized it reminded me of something and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And that's when I went digging and I found Climax Blues Band, "I Love You." I always thought Elton John sang that song when I was a kid, you know. I loved that song. It was on the
Right.
radio all the time. I thought it was the best song. And so when I rediscovered it, I just thought, well, God, this must have been for a reason. I'm sure that I'm supposed to put this on the record. And I had no idea that Tesla had covered that song. I thought I was so clever when I found that song. You know? I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna do this because nobody's done this, you know. And then after I finished recording it, I found out that Tesla had done it.
Right.
I think back in 2012, and they did a fantastic version as well.
Right.
And so then, you know, I started second guessing myself. Well, maybe I shouldn't put it on the record. I thought I was so clever, you know, but it came out so good that I had to do it.
Oh, I think you did an amazing job on it, man.
Thank you.
I mean, it's just awesome. Then you have a song called "Rock and Roll Army."
Yeah,
You want to tell us about that one a little
I
bit?
would love to tell you about that song. My my dearly departed childhood friend Danny Goldstein and I, we met in 1986, and actually we met in 1985, and we went to the same school. We liked the same music, but we weren't necessarily friends. You know, as
Right.
kind of an asshole when I was a kid, and I think maybe we all were. And you know, but we'd still talk sometimes, you know, and talk about music. And then one day he told me he had this band, and you don't have no band, you know, such a dick. And he's like, no, man, we just came up with our first original song. It's called Rock and Roll Army, and he sings it to me, and I instantly changed my opinion of Danny Goldstein. Like instantly, I knew we were going to be like lifelong friends.
Right.
And man, that's really good, you know. And he's like, yeah, that's all we got, you know. We're still working on it. Why don't you bring your drums over and we'll, you know. And so that's how that song came to be. We got together in a room, just these young knucklehead kids. Didn't even know that our guitar and bass were supposed to be in tune together. You know, we were just
Right.
that keen. And we wrote that song back then, and we never recorded it. And then, you know, the band didn't last too long. It's like 8 or 9 months. And then that song was just lost in time, you know.
Right.
And then one day, I think it was maybe around 2016, you know, Danny calls me up and tells me he's writing a book, working on this book. It's called Music Won't Pay the Bills, and I'm gonna put out this book. And he's like, the book is basically about you and I when we were teenagers growing
Right.
up in bands. And so a big part of the story in this book is the song Rock and Roll Army. And I had forgotten about that song too, you know. And so once I was talking about it, and when the book came out, reading about it, and I told Danny, you know, I'm going to record that song, you know, just if we can remember how it goes, you know, I'm going to record that song just for us, just for fun, right? And we talked about it, talked about it, talked about it. And then one day Danny was gone. He passed away, and it was just terrible. And I beaten myself up for not having done, you know, what I said I was going to do, and get this. We wrote so many songs together as kids, but I really wanted to get this done for him. And so the day after he passed away, I came up in my studio here, and you know, looking up at the heavens. How in the fuck does this song even go, man? Danny, how does this song start? You know, because I called up our other ex bandmates, Aaron and Chris, and you guys remember how this? No, I have no idea, man. I can't. I haven't thought about that song in 30 years. They said so. I was on my own, and then I looked up and asked Danny, and in about 30 seconds, I was playing the song. So
Right.
divine intervention, whatever you want to call it. So I ended up laying that whole song down in one afternoon, and but I can't play guitar solos. Is the one thing I really just am not good at, and so my producer Jason Constantine at the time, he reached out and asked Jeff Duncan from Armored Saint if he put a guitar solo on it, and he did. And so then now the song was finished, and so then I sent it to the local radio station, and they started playing it on Sunday nights. You know, the Comp Homegrown show, Lori Steele, and I was just so I couldn't even believe it. You know, I knew Danny was up there just getting such a kick out of the fact that this song we wrote when we were kids is now on the radio. You know, and so
Right.
then I thought, well, this song should probably be on the new Cyanide album.
Right.
To Danny, you know, and so I reworked it a little bit. I mean, it definitely needed some new lyrics, and the version that you hear on the record is just how I always felt like it should have been when we were kids, but didn't quite have the ability and the knowledge to make it.
Right.
Yeah. So, but the whole song is really just a tribute to Danny Goldstein and all the fun we had, you know, playing music when we were teenagers and all the bands we were in together. And just
Right.
stupid kids. It was so fun.
That's back when times were fun, man.
Man, and even back then, it's funny. Back then in '86, when we wrote that song, I wanted to call the band Cyanide back then.
Oh
And
wow.
you know, they did not like the name. We ended up calling our band Damage instead. And I always thought Cyanide was a much better name. So in 2010, when I finally was singing and had the chance to put my own band together
Right.
as a singer, the first thing I did was say, "Hey, can we call this band Cyanide?" And it was instantly agreed upon, and so that's how we got the name.
Right. Very cool, man. I mean,
It all from 1986, man. What a great year, right?
oh yeah. I was I was in my fourth year of high school, but I didn't graduate till '87. I was on a 5-year plan because of rock and roll.
Because of rock and roll, man.
So, I mean, the whole. I mean, you got 14 songs on this album. This album just is a banger from song
Mm,
one all the way through. You know, it's got definitely a rock, 80s rock and metal vibe to it. Some songs are a little heavier than others,
yeah.
but I think 21 Gun Salute is a phenomenal song. Or phenomenal album. How has it been received by the public? I mean, has it been received well?
You know, it's funny when the CD came out, the response to that was way more than we thought. You know,
Oh, cool.
we sold an awful lot of CDs in a time where people aren't really buying CDs, and so I couldn't help but wonder what's going to happen when it comes out on streaming sites. You know,
Right.
because we only had the one single out since then, 21 Gun Salute, and it got a ton of action. You know, and so I kept kind of dreaming about the day when the album would come out on streaming sites, you know.
Right.
And, that date ended up being October 17th. And man, now, admittedly, because of, you know, what went on with Ace on Thursday, the day
Right.
before, you know, we just didn't promote the album throughout the weekend. We were just focused on Ace. And
Yeah,
so,
I think
yeah,
after the announcement about Ace, a lot of people put things on hold for a little
yeah,
bit.
I
You
just
know.
couldn't even bring myself to, you know, go live on any kind of social media talking
Right.
about my record at a time like this, you know. And so, so the numbers were pretty low the first weekend, and I didn't even care because I was just like
Right.
Ace, you know. But somehow on Monday it picked back up,
Right.
and as of yesterday, I think there was like 1,300 listeners yesterday,
Oh, wow.
which is pretty high, and especially for a band of our stature. And then I looked, and it said it's this album has had 185,000 streams since its release,
Wow.
and you know, I'm just like, and then I dug deeper, and I realized it's counting the 6 singles that, because we were releasing a new single every Friday
Right.
for 6 weeks leading up to the album's release. So it was counting those streams as well. So initially, though, I thought, well, I got 185,000 streams in 1 week, you know, but it was 6 weeks.
Right.
But still,
Still,
I,
that's great.
I can't complain about that, man. I mean, it seems like people are really connecting with the album,
Right.
and understanding that it came from here. I put my heart and soul into it, and it's really being well received. I'm
Well,
quite
one of the big things that I have noticed, you know, doing what I do, being a DJ and, you know, doing what artists like yourself, a lot of bands are going back, and I mention this in every interview. A lot of bands are going back to that old school vibe. I think I it was gone for a while. You know, everything kind of got a little stale as far as the
yeah.
music scene. But I notice a lot of bands, whether it be going back to that 60s, 70s Led Zeppelin vibe to, you know, Cyanide doing the 80s rock and roll vibe stuff, you know, it's just, it's coming back. And I think it's what the music scene needed was a jump start.
I know it's what I needed. You know, so we put the first Cyanide record out in 2015. It's been a while, and that record was strictly a Sunset Strip party anthem album.
Right.
Sex, drugs, rock and roll. There's no real metal on that record. It's
Right.
just a party album, you know. And I loved that record. But while we were out supporting that record, we got to open up for people like Grim Reaper, Doro Pesh. And when we got in front of those crowds, and I realized we don't have any metal. These are all party songs, you know? And so we started covering like Free Will Burning and Jawbreaker by Judas Priest.
Right.
And so I started thinking, you know, I need to get my metal roots back on this next album, you know,
Right.
because I was a strange teenager, you know. I listened to Poison and Ratt and Motley Crue, and then I also listened to Slayer and Anthrax and
Oh,
Metallica,
yeah.
you know, and not everybody was like that. There was definitely cliques at school where this group only listened to the heavier metal, and these were like what people would call the posers, you know. And so
Absolutely.
and I was kind of like in both groups, and I it just occurred to me that I should put some of that into my music, you know, and so that's why you hear some of that Slayer and that Metallica
Right.
Anthrax influence on the new record because it's part of who I am, and I just thought, why am I stifling that? You know,
Right.
there's no record label hovering about saying we need hits. You know, I can
Right.
do whatever I want, and so I made Social Media Disease, As the World Burns, Take What You Want, Fireball,
Right.
screaming metal songs. You know, there's some Judas Priest and some Iron Maiden in there too. You know,
Right.
and that's just all music that I love.
Right. It's funny you mentioned school, high school. I grew up in California during the 80s hair metal explosion.
Oh
And
wow!
I know exactly what you're talking about with the schools being divided. Over here, you had your hair metal and poison
Yeah,
people. Over here, you had us thrashers and
yeah.
Slayer, skate punk, and all that stuff. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was so funny, you know, and you know, there was this portion of ninth grade where I was hanging out with these girls before school, and they convinced me that I should let them tease my hair and put some eyeliner on me, right? And so I went to school like that and instantly got into fights.
Oh, yeah.
The girls responded to it well. The dudes were like, "Fuck this poser," you know. And
That's
I was
it.
like,
That's it.
it was their fault, man. They did it. But yeah, uh, good times, man. Good times.
Yep. All right. Let me ask you a couple more questions and I'll let you go, what is your take on the music scene nowadays? And with you, coming up in the 80s, how have you seen it change? Has it changed for the better, for the worse?
Well, I know there's a lot of music fans out there that, you know, let's say like when Iron Maiden puts out a new album or Judas Priest puts out a new album, you know, and I always run out and buy it on the first day, just like I always did. And I still play the shit out of it, you know, and I get to know that record. And that to me, that's how you fall in love with a record. You know, we
Right.
were kids, we would listen to an album over and over and over until it was like embedded in here, you know.
Right.
And I don't think people have time to do that anymore. And I think that's why you'll hear people say, I don't like their new stuff. And it's because they haven't had the chance to really just listen to it. Although some would argue, well, I don't listen to it because it doesn't sound anything like their old stuff, you know. And so that's kind of what led to me when I was making this record. Like, do I want to go in a more modern direction, like my heroes have done, or do I want to just go with what I know, you
Right.
know? And I decided I'm gonna go with what I know. What's in here? What's in here? Um, and I think people might respond to that if I do that. And so far, it's working. But I think that is the main difference: is that we don't have the time, even though we're listening to more music these days, right? I always have music on. I think
Right.
a lot of people I know is, but are you really listening to it like you did when you come home from school and sit in your bedroom playing these records, reading the lyrics, not not on your phone, not caring about anything,
I
but
was going to bring that up because I think with all these streaming platforms has taken a lot of that away. I
mm-hmm.
mean, there was nothing like running down to the record store, grabbing that brand new album, seeing the artwork, pulling out the sleeve.
You
Exactly.
want you want to own these, man.
That's
You don't
it.
just stream them. And I still, you know, I buy the CD the day it comes out, And then if I really love the record, I'll buy the vinyl as well. And then I still stream it, for convenience. But I
Right.
still, but a lot of people just don't want that extra shit laying around. I had a lot of friends that were giving their CDs away when streaming,
Right.
became, because they don't have any place to put them anymore. I still have a whole room dedicated to all my
So do
CDs,
I.
vinyl, and it's like this room is my studio, and then there's another room where you go to listen to music, and that's where all the physical media is at. And
Right.
yeah, I will never stop with that. One day we're gonna wake up and the internet's gonna be broken, and you won't be able to stream any music, and you'll wish you had some CDs or some
Right.
Blu-rays.
Exactly. I
By the
still
way,
I
this
still
is
have all mine.
this is something nobody talks about, man. I am surprised. I've been buying these Kiss box sets lately, and the box sets come with a Blu-ray audio disc in there, right?
Yeah.
It's a 7.1 Dolby Atmos mix of the record, and there's like 7 different versions to listen to. And you put it in your Blu-ray player, and it comes out through your stereo, and there's graphics on the TV, and it sounds like nothing I've ever heard. Like the sound is just, it's quite an experience, and I'm surprised that Blu-ray audio CDs aren't becoming the norm, because I would honestly, if all my favorite bands re-released all their albums right now on Blu-ray audio discs, I'd run out and buy all those again.
Right.
So if you're listening, get that shit out there. I want to buy it.
That's it. Because I mean, it. Like I said, the physical copy to sit there in your bedroom or whatever, and just read the lyrics, look at the artwork, and listen to the. That's a lost art.
It is. I still do it, but I know
I
a lot
know.
of people
So do
don't.
I.
I value a Friday night spent at home having a beer and listening to vinyl and just looking at the records like I did
Oh
when I was.
yeah,
You know,
that was a big part of our lives, man. This generation will never know. You know what it's like to do that, what it's like to stand outside all night long waiting for concert tickets to go on sale. I mean, they will never know that.
We had some times camping out for waiting for tickets, didn't
Oh,
we?
absolutely. Yeah, stand out in pouring rain all night long. Yeah.
Yeah. Meet
So
some interesting people, maybe get into some trouble. I
that's
don't
it.
know.
It's what it was all about. I mean, the 80s back then, it was a great time.
Oh,
I have no qualms about it, man. It was a great time.
I mean, remember the girls in 1987? What a great! I went to the Bon Jovi Cinderella concert that year. Yeah, it was Bon Jovi and Cinderella. I never seen so many beautiful women at a concert before. It was like
Right.
15,000 women and 3,000 dudes. It was just, you know, what a time. What a time.
Oh,
Man.
yeah. Great time.
That's what's missing. We've lost the music that connects with the ladies. And there is some of that on this record. So, maybe we can still bring that back.
Maybe Cyanide will rejuvenate it.
Ladies, come back to us.
That's it, man. That's what we need. Hey, Rob, can you tell the people where they can find out 21 Gun Salute at?
Absolutely. If you're looking for the physical CD, you can get that at kibblerecords.com/store. That CD is available there. It's also available on eonianrecords.com. And then our official website is cyaniderocks.com. And at that website, you'll find, all the links to our socials, our videos, all the links to our streaming sites. There's an EPK for Cyanide, and there's also a separate page for the Motley Crue tribute, the Poison tribute, and the Iron Maiden tribute, all in one place. So you can just go to one website and find everything you need there. And obviously, the album was released to all streaming sites last Friday, and it's doing gangbuster numbers right now.
Right.
Considering the week we just had, I really can't believe how many people are listening to
Right.
it. So thank you to everyone out there who's playing this record right now, and just it makes me so happy because I put so much into it. It took so long to make, and there was times where I didn't think it would ever be finished, and now that it's out there and people actually like it, it's just, man, it's such a great feeling. So
Right.
thank you.
Well, thank you, Rob, for keeping music alive, doing
I'm
it the
gonna
way it should be done.
I'm gonna keep. I got at least 3 more albums in me. I feel like this was my first experience really as a solo writer, because
Right.
I've always had a songwriting partner. Danny and I grew up writing songs together. Mark Mersal and I wrote the first Cyanide album together. This was the first time in my life where I was faced with having to go it alone. Didn't know if I could do it, and now that I've done it, I feel like I could do anything, And so
Right.
I'm already ready to go start working on album number 3 right now.
Right. Well, you did a hell of a job with 21 Gun Salute. Definitely got my attention.
Thank you.
So, all right, Rob. Hey, thanks for taking the time out, coming on Metal Shop 101.
Anytime, man.
We'll keep pushing it, and look forward to hearing some more from Cyanide, man.
Awesome, man.
All right, man. Thanks.
Hey, metal, everyone.
All right.